You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah by your side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome to our Hadith class. And for the Hadith class tonight, we are studying from the book written by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Atli. And this is the book entitled Not of Us, Not One of Us. And this book speaks about things that our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam warned us to not do. Things that our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam warned us to stay away from, because these actions are so bad that they're the total opposite of him. And anyone who indulges in these actions has distanced themselves from him. And remember, we talked about how Islam is all about allegiance, having allegiance towards Allah, allegiance towards the Prophet Muhammad, and distancing ourselves from anything that comes between that. So we want to distance ourselves from these actions. Practice well better, distancing from these actions. And so let's put the hadith up on the screen for tonight's discussion. And again, to purchase the book, make sure you go to Adli Online, www.adlionline.com, and pick up a copy of this book. The book doesn't cost that much, and it's very much worth the cost. And let's go to the hadith. Okay, give me a second here. This is a hadith that many of you should enjoy implementing in your personal life, especially as we all embark upon the journey of trying to help our fitra find its way back to Allah, since that's the purpose and the journey that we're all embarking upon. You will love this hadith. And again, you can purchase this book by going to www.adlionline.com. And let's take a look at the hadith for tonight's discussion. This hadith is narrated by Abu Hurairah. Who can tell me? Tell me about Abu Hurairah. Who can tell me something about Abu Hurairah? Anyone? In my Zoom room, tell me something about Abu Hurairah. Come on.
The Prophet ﷺ made dua that he would never forget anything that he did or said.
MashaAllah, that's the number one thing to remember about Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. He was one of the eminent companions. He was the one that the Prophet Muhammad supplicated for, asking Allah to never allow him to forget anything that he heard the Prophet say, nor anything he saw the Prophet do, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's why he was a scholar of the hadith. You know, even during the caliphate of Abu Bakr and Umar and others, they would consult with him to see if he remembered what the Prophet said or did in regards to a particular thing. So let's take a look at this hadith. He said that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, a person who is two-faced should not be trusted. Okay? A person that is two-faced. What's a two-faced person? This is a person who shows one face when he's around you Then behind your back, he'll show a different face. I'm sure many of us know people like this, the double-faced person. This hadith is also found in Bukhari, the double-faced. It uses the word for the English translation of double-faced person. Don't be a double, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't be a double-faced person who shows one face and then behind your back a different one. These are people you can't trust. They'll smile in your face to pretend to be your friend to get whatever benefit they can obtain from you. And then when you walk away, they'll talk about how they really don't like you and they'll be enemies to you. So this is a wonderful hadith that we need to remember, because trustworthiness is one of the most prized possessions. Remember the hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the believer can commit any sin except for one. A person that believes in Allah is capable of committing any sin except for one, and that is the sin of lying. If a person truly believes in Allah, they can't lie. They're not dishonest. They're someone that you can always trust. That's one of the signs that a person still believes in Allah. I remember was a person I knew who the people were saying, oh, well, you know, he does so many bad things. Yeah, of all the bad things he does, he never lied. He always owned up to it. He would never lie and say, I didn't do it. He'd admit it. He was always trustworthy. So that's why, because of that, I always said, whether the person is practicing their deen or not, he does believe in Allah. He's a sinful Muslim, but don't ever refer to him as not being a Muslim, because he never lies. Okay? Trustworthiness is a very prized possession. It's also one of the signs of the last hour, because it'll disappear. It'll be hard to find people like that. So as Muslims, we should always be straightforward. Also, as a Muslim, we should be clear about and not ashamed of our beliefs. Never be ashamed of being a Muslim. Never be ashamed of your religious position on any issue. As we're trying to help our fitra find its way back to Allah, we really need to remember that, because the fitra is attracted to what's honest, what's good, what's clean. It feeds off of that, whereas the human soul feeds off of negativity. So we should be clear and not ashamed about our religious beliefs and our religious positions on any issue. And we should not seek to please the people. Instead, we should seek to please Allah. And I talk about this all the time. That goes for you women too. This garbage about pleasing your husbands, you please Allah. And by pleasing Allah, in turn, Allah will cause your husband to be pleased with you. We got it backwards. We think pleasing our husband will cause Allah. No, it's the other way around. We do good deeds solely for the sake of pleasing Allah. And as Allah himself tells us in the beautiful Hadith Qudsi, whenever we do our good deeds solely for him, he in turn will love us, and then he will cause the other people here on earth to love us too. So we do good deeds not to please our husband. We do good deeds to please Allah, and in turn, Allah will cause your husband to be pleased with you. So don't seek to please the people, but instead seek to please Allah. And also, on the other hand, don't seek to please the people by catering to them through unlawful things either. Unlawful things that will compromise your faith. A lot of Muslims do that. They'll allow people to smoke around them, drink around them. They'll allow people to lie and steal around them, fornicate around them, just to please the people. No, our creation, we were created to worship and please Allah, not anyone else. And also we learn from this hadith that we don't engage in backbiting or gossip mongering or tale carrying or any of that. We're not supposed to. And so many of us women fall guilty of that. We like to backbite. We like to gossip. We like to spread rumors. That's being dishonest. That's not trustworthiness. We got to work on that, controlling our tongues. So, mashallah, this is a wonderful hadith for us to ponder the meaning of and in turn apply it in our everyday lives. You know, the true believer, like the Prophet said in another hadith, is capable of committing any sin because we're human. But there's one sin that the believer will never commit. That's dishonesty. We stay away from that which is not truthful. We stay away from that which is dishonest. So a wonderful hadith to implement for yourselves and for your families and to share with others. So are there any questions or comments about this hadith, this wonderful hadith? Okay, the brother here is asking, what do you do if you know people who are that way? He's typing, what is this, Twitch? Or no, this is Trovo. Okay, mashallah. Yeah, the brother is asking, what do you do if you have associates who indulge in that behavior, who indulge in being two-faced? Well, it's what we talked about in our 6 o'clock class. It's all about disassociation. It's all about being careful in order to keep the fitra awake in your heart in order to help it find its way back to Allah. We have to disassociate from those influences that are detrimental to us. So if you have associates who are two-faced, stay away from them. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't boycott products, but the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did boycott people. Okay, if a person was known as being two-faced, after sitting with the person and warning him and talking to him of it, the Prophet would boycott him. He'd have everybody boycott such a person. And if the person continued to exhibit that behavior, the Prophet would even banish them. He would banish them because a two-faced person cannot be trusted. They're dangerous. They'll go behind your back and tell information to your enemies. Yeah, so that's something we need to remember as Muslims. The Prophet didn't boycott products. He wasn't in a position to boycott any products because they were poor. They needed money. They needed food. But he did boycott people. Stay away from people that are harmful to you. Stay away from people that or anything else that stands between yourself and your relationship with Allah. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah, I know I'm lagging, so I'm gonna wait a minute because I've got some new shahadas here. Okay, good question. Good question. Here's another person asking, what if you see such a quality within yourself? That's a very good question. Remember, we talked about it at 6 o'clock in our 6 o'clock class. The believer does a lot of self-evaluation. Okay, we should know our strengths. We should know our weaknesses. If you look within yourself and see that you have this problem, that you're a person that is two-faced, you go with the flow of whoever you're around, then the simple fact that you recognize that you have that problem, that's the first step. That's the first step in changing the condition of yourself. And remember, as long as we take the step, at least that first step to change the condition of ourselves, then Allah will help us with the rest. So the fact that you look at yourself and you recognize that you are two-faced, that's the first step. And then our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in another authentic hadith, some of us were born with good character. Others were not. So for those of us who were not born with good characteristics, we have to learn it. We have to learn those good characteristics. So if you were not born with honesty, you were not born with truthfulness, you have to learn that. And then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us how to learn it too. He said, number one, if you look within yourself and see that you suffer with a lack of a good characteristic, he said the first thing you should do is surround yourself with people who have that good character. He said, because a man takes on the religion and behavior of his friends. So if you look at yourself and see that you are not an honest person, you are dishonest in your actions, then you need to surround yourself with people who are honest. Because the prophet said that their character, that honesty will rub off on you. And then the second thing that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to do to change the character of yourself is to pretend that you have whatever characteristic it is that you're lacking. So pretend to be honest. Pretend to be trustworthy. Pretend to not be two-faced. And the prophet said eventually it'll become a habit. He said once we pretend, it soon becomes a habit. And then the third thing that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to do to change the nature of ourselves is make dua. Ask Allah. Ask Allah to give you whatever characteristic you are lacking. Okay? So you look at yourself and you see that you suffer with two-facedness. Stop hanging around people who are dishonest and instead hang around people who are honest. And then pretend that you're not two-faced. And eventually it'll become a habit. And always make dua, asking Allah to better your character, to make you a person who is not double-faced, who is not two-faced. So again, I tell you guys all the time, there is nothing that we encounter in this world today in 2024 that our prophet hasn't already told us how to handle, including bad character. We just have to learn the religion the correct way. All right. Any other questions? Very good question. I'm proud of you for asking that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, mashallah. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Don't forget tomorrow, guys, we have the Call In and Ask Sister Layla live show. Any questions y'all have, bring them in here tomorrow, inshallah.
Join us every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern for the Ask Sister Layla live Call In and Answer show. Please join Ustada lailanasheeba. If you have any questions in regards to this theme, call in at 862-370-2838. Now streaming on various platforms right here on Sunnahfollowers.
So that'll be tomorrow, inshallah, at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, guys, I'm going to log out for tonight. You guys did very good in both of the classes. I'm so proud of the new shahadas. The questions you guys ask are just wonderful, wonderful questions. And also, I'm pleased with the beautiful comments that you guys have sent me about how you love the book. And by the way, I did share that with Sheikh Kareem. I let Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid know last night that you guys really are enjoying learning how to find your way back to Allah, how so many of your hearts have been awakened, alhamdulillah. So I'm going to close out for tonight. May Allah keep us all straight and firm upon Sirat al-Mustaqim. May Allah help all the believers who are going through trials and adversities throughout the world. And let's make dua for all the believers that Allah keep us all strong and firm upon Sirat al-Mustaqim with the understanding of the companions and not anyone else. So I'm closing out for tonight. Inshallah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.